Welcome to the journey. Um, I am the host of the of this particular show of the journey, and my name is Kevin Polky. Uh, Last episode, we talked about who are you when no one's watching. This idea of character, and this idea of um, that do we have congruency between our our private self and our public self? Is there consistency between the two selves? Over the weekend, I was reflecting on uh, a topic that I talk quite a bit about with Shed Our Silence, as well as when I talk about developing resilience and managing stress within schools. And we talk about this idea of that we all are on a continuum, that to the far left of this continuum um, is the brightest of bright lights representing um, love and hope and joy. And to the far right is the absence of light. Um, when a person is there in that sense of despair and hopelessness, um, they may consider uh, a permanent solution to what we believe is temporary time period, even though we don't know how long that temporary is going to be. And what are some of the things that we can do if we find ourselves in that darkness? We know that there are variables, factors that lead to someone having a predisposition to that darkness. Um, Being a victim of domestic violence, either directly or indirectly, um, being a victim of sexual assault, or being impacted by an eating disorder or body image, um, struggling with a chemical imbalance or a result of some trauma, a mental illness, and the ramifications of substance abuse are just six factors that we identify as a predisposition that could lead to someone being in the darkness. But if we have those uh, one or numerous factors that may be there, um, and then we start having difficulties financially, have difficulties in our interpersonal relationships, either with our significant other, with our friend group, with our family. Um, this may be what we refer to as a tipping point, to end up spilling someone, thrusting someone into that far end of the continuum. So, what can we do? Well, I think one of the things that we can do is making sure that we um, keep a network of people around us that are healthy and life giving, who can hold space for us. Is one thing. Being able to have the courage to ask for help, recognizing that what we're experiencing is temporary, regardless of how long that it's been going on. And this idea of having a resolve, having a resilience, that have we done hard things in our past? Have we faced hard things in our past? And have we pushed through those hard things and experienced those hard things, and came on the other side of those hard things and found lessons of growth that we wouldn't have experienced if we wouldn't have gone through those hard things? So it's being able to practice these things when we are more in the middle of the continuum, so that when we find ourselves at the far end of the to the right side of the continuum, that we have some training tools that we can access. One of the things that we practice on a regular weekly basis at KP with my therapist are um, having an attitude of gratefulness. We start off each one of our staff meetings going around identifying one thing that we're grateful for in the past week. And sometimes it may be easier, sometimes it may be harder to identify something that we're grateful for. But there's almost always something that we can be grateful for. Maybe it's as simple as that we can look outside our window because we have eyes to see, that we have a window to look through, that we have feet to be able to walk or hands to be able to write or to type. We may have to bring it down to the smallest things so that we can recognize that even those small things are really, really important, because if those things weren't there, then they would become my focal point, such as if I didn't have a window to look through because I was homeless, or I didn't have feet to walk because I'm um, handicapped. So practicing on a daily basis, what are we grateful for today? Journaling, writing those things down. I came across the other day, I was cleaning out our attic at our house, and I came across a box of, must have been from when I was a teenager and early college, that my mom had given me that I had not looked at. It was a box that she probably wanted out of her house, and I didn't necessarily take the time at that time to look through it until just this past weekend. In there, I found um, old modeling pictures, old bodybuilding pictures. Um, I forgot I had applied uh, for school out in the University of Nevada in Las Vegas, as well as University of Denver, both in both situations, to go into a social work program. Had completely forgot about that. There was other little treasures that I had come across that I had completely forgot about, and it gave me some insight of, because of the journal writings and because of the writings that I had, gave me some insight of who I was at that time. Even though I think I remember who I was, there were certain insights that I had forgotten. And being able to be grateful that I had not only documented some of those things and kept some of those things, but then grateful that I had spontaneous or just randomly had come across those things to be able to reflect on. So, what I'd like you to take away from this particular episode is that regardless of where you're at on the continuum right now, if you're in the middle or to the left in the light, practice gratitude. If you are a little bit more to the right or way in the darkness of the right, practice gratitude. Not focusing on what we don't have, but instead focusing on what we do have, because each one of us have a list of things that we do have. It's only when we start comparing it to what we think we are supposed to have or feel like that we're entitled to have. If I can stay grounded and focused on the things that I do have and then build on that, when that darkness comes, I'll be I'll be in a practice mode, and then I'll be able to know that this is the most critical time when I need to do that. As always, I appreciate you listening, and appreciate you sharing anything that may have spoke to you today. You never know who may need to hear it at this particular time. Look forward to talking to you next week.